take it we are quorate, are we?
Yeah.
We must be. Yeah, there aren't that many of us on the review committee.
Oh, only Roger not here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, we are now live on YouTube. So whenever you're ready, Leanne.
Okay, well, I'm ready now. So welcome everybody to the Review Committee for Standing Orders, Procedures and Agreements with the... everybody can hear okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay then. Well, we'll start with apologies, which we have from Roger Hargreaves.
Right.
And next one on the agenda is declarations of interest. So we need to go around one by one and say and repeat one of the declarations of interest, whether you have a declaration or whether you haven't. So shall I go first?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I, Leanne MacDonald, I'm a councillor of Liss Parish Council, a member of the Review Committee for Standing Orders, Procedures and Agreements with Third Parties. I confirm that I've read the agenda, have considered each policy listed, have read any deputations received and have no interest to declare in any of the policies being considered. Okay, Keith, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm Keith Budden. I'm a member of the review committee of Liss Parish Council. I've read the agenda and all the associated papers, and I have no interest in declaring any of the items we're discussing this morning.
Thank you. Maggie?
I'm Margaret Nibbs. I'm a councillor of Liss Parish Council, a member of the Review Committee for Standing Orders, Procedures and Agreements with Third Parties. I confirm that I have read the agenda, have considered each policy listed, have read any deputations received and have no interest to declare in any of the policies being considered.
Thank you. Claire?
Hi, Claire Williams. I'm a councillor of Liss Parish Council, a member of the Review Committee for Standing Orders, Procedures and Agreements with Third Parties. I confirm I've read the agenda, have considered each policy listed, have read any deputations received and have no interest to declare in any of the policies being considered.
Thank you. Howard?
I, Howard Lindsley, am a councillor of Liss Parish Council and a member of the Review Committee for Standing Orders, Procedures and Agreements with Third Parties. I confirm that I have read the agenda, I have considered each policy listed, have read any deputations received and have no interest to declare in any of their policies being considered.
Thank you. And just to remind you that if anything comes up during the discussion where you feel you have an interest, then you need to declare it then. Okay, so we'll move on the agenda to the minutes of the meeting on the 4th of November, which was our last meeting. So we'll look at it in terms of accuracy. Page 1. Are there any inaccuracies? Anyone's picked up? No?
No.
Page 2?
No.
No? Okay. So I need someone to propose and second the minutes.
I'm happy to propose them.
And Claire's indicated to your second, Leanne.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go on to matters arising from those minutes. So going down there, 36.1, which was the probationary policy. I emailed the clerk about this very recently, i.e. last night, but I have got a response. And the response is that there's a query that this probably should go to the staffing committee. So I'm going to follow that up with the clerk after the meeting. She does have the Green Book, and all sort of probationary staffing issues should be covered by the Green Book, and should probably be dealt with by the staffing committee rather than the review committee. So I have sent Sarah an email about that, and we'll just follow that up, and I'll let you know what the outcome is.
Is everybody aware of what the Green Book is?
No.
Do you want to follow that on, Howard?
I think my knowledge might be a little bit out of date, so I prefer not to do it.
The Green, probably Keith will correct me if I'm wrong, but the Green Book is the official policies for staffing from the county council. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it's felt that any policies about staff who are in a probationary period will be covered in that Green Book, and Sarah has a copy.
Yeah.
It's basically the local government terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a national document.
Yeah.
And every council is involved in keeping to its rules, basically, in relationship with its staff.
So the query is, if we're going to have a separate policy for for staff on probation, who would agree that? Would it be the staffing committee? Do they have the authority to agree it, or does it have to go to the review committee or the full council?
I would have thought that in the first instance it should come to this committee. I think the correct thing would be to pass it on to the staff committee, and I think a decision would be made there as to whether it needs to be passed on to the council. Okay.
Well, I've actually emailed Sarah to ask that question, so I'll wait for the response, and I'll liaise with her on. Okay, the next matter arising was 36.4, which was the financial risk assessment, internal control policy investment strategy. I emailed after the last meeting. I emailed the RFO, and the finance officer is going to include those policies in the January meeting, in the January finance meeting, because it doesn't need to be done by the end of the year. So that will be dealt with by finance committee. And then 36.5 has been done. There were some policies that didn't contain a review date. So Lizzie and I liaised on that, and that's been done. I think that was it. Oh yeah, any other business? I'm on 38.1 now. The grants policy, I think I decided that maybe that should come to this committee at another meeting, given that what we're dealing with today it's a bit full.
Okay.
So that was it.
Okay.
So that's matters arising dealt with. And number 5 is about the minutes of the February meeting, which I asked to come back on the agenda today. And that's because I reread them after the last meeting and realised there were a couple of things that I hadn't picked up and that nobody else had picked up. And it was that on the previous minutes, on the February minutes, under matters arising, right at the bottom, 30.5.2, members queried if financial risk assessment should be reviewed by the financial committee. That is duplicated on the next page under 31.5. So one of them needs to be deleted. So it's probably 31.5 that needs to be deleted.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, are you agreeing with that? Just
Yeah.
It's the same thing, just noted twice. So Lizzie, if we remove 31.5.
Will do, and I'll update the website.
Yeah, okay. So if we could if we could move 31.5, because it's a bit more, it's got financial risk assessment, internal control policy, investment strategy. If we just move that to 30.5.2.
Will do.
Yeah. And the other thing was on the second page, under third-party agreements, it's got Councillor Hargreaves stated that he, along with Councillor Dodds and the clerk, had a meeting with National Childbirth Trust. I think that should actually be Newman Collard Trust, because we don't have a service level agreement with the National Childbirth Trust. There were some ladies from the National Childbirth Trust who went to the opening of the pavilion at Westliss Recreation Ground and were interested in using the pavilion. And they may be using it now, I don't know, but we certainly don't have a service level agreement with them as far as I'm aware. So I think that actually should be Newman Collard Trust.
Yeah, I think I must have put NCT instead of NCPFT. So yeah, sorry, my minutes are, yeah, my fault.
So if we could just agree to change that, then that's it.
Okay.
Lovely.
Well, it looks as though we all missed that first time round.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to miss it because, you know, it's the same, you know, they've got the same letters.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're down to policies for amendment and approval and the code of conduct. Now, I need to tell you that I gave you the code of conduct that we had. Since then, as Keith has informed me, the code of conduct went to East Hampshire's solicitors. There's just been two very minor amendments, which I can tell you about as we go through it. But what they've also done at East Hampshire is that they've added arrangements for dealing with allegations by a member of the council. So it was too late to get that out to you because I only found out at the end of last week. So what I'm proposing to do is that we deal with the code of conduct as we have it now, as you received it. And then at the next meeting that we have of this committee, we look at the arrangements for dealing with allegations. And then we just put the two together in one document, as they have done at East Hampshire, because it was just a bit too late to get that out and for you to actually have a look at it. Okay, so the issue is, I think, do we use East Hampshire's code of conduct, or do we try and just compare that with the draft one that was completed some time ago for Liss Parish Council, which incorporates the Liss Parish Council one and the NALC one? I'm just leaving it open for views.
I think quite strongly that we should have the same code of conduct as East Hants have. When this became an issue some years ago, when it became possible for councils to each do their own, which it hadn't been possible beforehand, I was a member of the East Hants Standards Committee, and we discussed this at some length, and we decided that it was best if all parish councils adopted the same one as East Hants. The reason being that they're fairly technical documents, and if the East Hants Standards Committee or whoever in East Hants is dealing with it has to actually manage a multitude of very similar documents, it makes life pretty unpleasant and almost impossible. And I held that view at the time, and I still hold that view, that we should go with whatever East Hants have. And if there's anything we particularly object to, we could always go back and try and persuade East Hants to change it. But I think it was a bad move when the government allowed everybody to have their own individual one. It's just not practical.
Yeah. There's also the National Association of Local Councils, the NALC, which also produced one as well, which our previous assistant clerk looked at and incorporated it into the list one as a draft for us to look at. I don't understand why they've produced one.
Now, sometimes
Presumably it's a model for other local authorities.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would 100% support what Howard is saying, because I mean, fortunately, touch wood for us, the occasions when we have to refer things to the monitoring officer are very few. But if we have to, then it makes sense, I think, that our code of conduct is as closely aligned as possible with East Hants. For the reasons that Howard said, it's much easier for the monitoring officer to give an instant decision if he or she is not having to read through the whole thing to work out what's different before they can give their view. And I think as well, part of the aim as well, and I just have declared an interest here from an East Hants perspective, but the view of East Hants is that if we can get all of the parish councils following the same code of conduct, then hopefully we keep the same level of professionalism across the whole district, and I think that's quite important, because the code of conduct ultimately is how the public have trust in what we're doing.
Yeah, I have to say I agree. Yeah, and it will be a lot simpler. Does anybody have a different view?
No, I agree with everything that's been said.
Okay then, so we'll take the East Hampshire one, and we'll quickly go through that and have a look at it. So
Would you like me to share my screen, Chair?
Sorry?
Would you like me to share my screen, which has the code of conduct on it?
Yeah.
So
That'd be useful, I think, Lizzie. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing we need to do is to put the list logo on the top with the list parish council, rather than the one I've got at the moment, which is got the I can't see it. It's got the East Hampshire thing logo in the corner.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. And then under the introduction, we just wherever it's got East Hampshire District Council, we need to put
we need to change to be list parish council. Yeah.
And the other thing, I think I mentioned it last time, was that they talk about a monitoring officer. If you look under the introduction on the 3rd paragraph, monitoring officer or deputy monitoring officer, which actually I noticed List Parish Council do in one of their documents on the code of conduct, the current ones. They still have monitoring officer or deputy monitoring officer. I don't know how that works with the parish council.
Well, our monitoring officer is East Hants monitoring officer.
List Parish Council's officer.
Yeah, this parish council's monitoring officer is the monitoring officer at East Hants.
Right. Okay.
Because for the monitoring purpose, it goes up to the next tier in local authority. So,
Right. I wondered whether it would be Clark or
no, it would be the monitoring officer.
Okay, so we leave monitoring officer in then.
Yeah.
And any councillor who has any concern about whether they need to declare something or whatever has a right to ring the East Hants monitoring officer and ask for advice. And they, in my experience, have always been very willing to give that advice because it's in their interest that people do it properly. But as it says there in that paragraph, the ultimate responsibility is the councillor themselves.
It's putting East Hampshire District Council monitoring officer.
Yeah, I think it'd be worth putting in.
Yeah. Yeah, lovely. Is it okay if I just go on to and do what I've picked up on the first page, and then I can open it up to anybody else that's done it?
Yeah, okay.
Under expectations and values, I think there's an "and" missing. It is the responsibility for individual councillors to understand and comply.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just had a query about the second line because it talks about protocols contained in or linked to the council's constitution. I wasn't sure about that, or whether that is about whether the equivalent of the council's constitution is List Parish Council standing orders.
Yes, it would be. Yeah.
Right.
So perhaps we just need to. I'd do another find and replace, Lizzie. Anywhere that says constitution, just change it to say standing orders.
Replace it with standing orders.
Capital S?
Yeah. And capital O, yeah.
Yeah. Plural, order?
Yeah. That was only one anyway, right. Okay.
Yeah. That's all I had on that page. Did anybody else have anything?
No.
No.
No. Okay. I think it would be helpful, Lizzie, as well, if I think you've got it, the pages are numbered.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one just interesting. It's one of the complaints we all have about the East Hants constitution at the moment. I have to say, hands up, I was on the working party. But it is that none of the pages have numbers.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier, doesn't it, when you refer?
It does, yeah. But I mean, it's something that is being corrected. But the first version that came out didn't have any numbers, which made questions about it very difficult.
So I was okay with page 2. And then we come to the actual code of conduct, the 7 principles of public life. I think it's the page before that, Lizzie. Yeah. What I'm
Yeah, the Nolan principles.
So they're called the Nolan principles, obviously after somebody called Nolan.
Yeah, yeah.
Should we put that in then? And Nolan,
Yeah, no harm. They're commonly referred to as the Nolan principles.
so Lizzie, after it's got 7 general principles of public life, you could put a dash, the Nolan principles.
What we're doing there is starting to change things from the way East Hants have got it. And I know it's perhaps a good idea to put Nolan principles in there, but I think once you start making a change, you haven't got the same document. And I think there's
I understand what
the possibility of making a change which you think is just explanatory, but it could end up having a different meaning.
Do you think that has a different meaning? I just think it's just.
No, I'm just saying it as a point. I think it should go in there, but I think East Hampshire should put it in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the problem there, Howard, is the fact that we've just approved this one,
Yeah.
so it's not going to be reviewed for quite some time.
Okay.
At least 12 months, I wouldn't have thought. Partly because I think we'd struggled there to find a desire of councillors to wish to go through it again. But yeah, I mean, I don't have problems with changes like that, I don't think, because then they're not changing the order or the meaning of anything. It's just being more explanatory. So I'm happy with that.
Just to play devil's advocate, if we're making changes that don't change the meaning or the spirit of the agreement, isn't it just decorative?
Yeah, I think so.
I suppose it is. It's
so
more.
If it's just decorative, why do it?
I don't have a full understanding of the Nolan principles. Well, I think I do, but I don't know whether I have or not. And I don't know whether those 7 paragraphs there are actually ones that are set out in a similar way in the Nolan principles.
They are almost verbatim, Howard.
Are they?
Yeah.
But I mean, from a lawyer's point of view, as soon as you say 7 principles of public life, i.e. the Nolan principles, you've actually changed the document, because if it suddenly comes to being that somebody spots that what's down here is not quite the same as the Nolan principles, then it leads to confusion and ambiguity. And I just think that it's not necessary to say Nolan principles. I think that would change the document fundamentally, or it might do. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean, I'm happy either way, to be honest. But I mean, if we think it is potentially an issue, then let's leave it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think people refer to them as the Nolan principles. So, you know, if you want to leave it out, leave it out. But it's what people refer them to. And I just thought it would, you know, if we put it on the website for the public, it just might inform them. I don't know.
The problem is that we don't know whether what's laid out here is exactly the same as the Nolan principles.
From a quick Google, it is exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain it's verbatim.
And so you produce an ambiguity.
Yeah, I don't think they are though, Howard, because I think it is.
No. I'm coming right from the fundamental point I made at the beginning, that we should have it identical to whatever.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I personally think at the moment I'm content with the words the Nolan principle being in there. I'm happy to have a quick discussion with the monitoring officer next time I'm talking to him, just to check he's happy. If he's not happy, we can easily edit it and take them out.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't think it's anything we need to be spending lots of time arguing over, to be honest.
No. This will go to full council, so I think it's probably got to be agreed by full council as well.
Right, okay. Well, between now and full council, Leanne, I'll speak to the monitoring officer and just make sure there's no issue.
Okay. I can't see, Lizzie, but is this code of conduct on a separate page, is it? Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Conduct here, yeah.
Okay. Okay then, so if we go on to the next page, which is part A, I think it starts. Again, these pages aren't numbered. Is there anything on there that we feel we have to change? Oh yeah, I had one. It talks about the cabinet of the council. 1B, because we don't have a cabinet. So we need to take that out, don't we?
It may be that sometime in the future we decided to. Very, very unlikely, I know. I think just leave it. And if we don't have a cabinet, that doesn't apply. But
yeah, I mean, to come in there, yeah, I agree with Howard in a way, because whilst we don't have a cabinet at the moment, I can't foresee that we would. But then again, a year ago, I wouldn't have foreseen that White Hill Town Council would have a cabinet, but now they do. So
really, they have a cabinet. They formed a cabinet.
They have a cabinet.
Right. I mean, something in, if applicable. Could we add that?
Yeah, we could add if applicable, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
just leave it. I'm uncomfortable because this is a legal document, and lawyers, their job is to look at legal documents and to interpret them. And having discussed and agreed that we should keep this the same as the district council's document, we're now going through it and starting changing things on the grounds that we think that it's not really going to change it. Well, if it's not really going to change it, why are we doing it? And I think, you know, we might get this wrong. And
I thought we were agreeing, Howard, that we would use it as a template, because some of the things, like we don't have a cabinet. So
no.
How can we have a legal document that says that the cabinet, when we actually don't have one?
Well, I don't see that as a problem, because anybody looking at this and interpreting on behalf of this parish council would say, well, they don't have a cabinet, so that doesn't apply. We don't have meetings of it. But if we suddenly decided to change that, then we've got to put that back in again. And you're going away from the principle of actually having the same document as East Hants has. And, you know, we don't want somebody arguing legally, oh, well, that's changed, that's different. I just think we should leave it as it is.
I'm with Howard here. I think we should leave it as it stands and not change any of the wording.
Yeah,
well,
other than
we've changed wording in terms of we've changed East Hampshire to Liss Parish Council.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously you've got to change that, because it does become our document. But that's that's just a minimum you have to do to make the document sensible.
Well, we've constitution to standing orders because we don't have a constitution, so we've made two changes anyway.
Where have we changed the constitution?
On page 1.
Yeah, we changed where it said constitution to say standing orders because effectively,
okay. Yeah.
effectively standing orders are I can't say it, are our constitution.
Okay, that's well, that's necessary to do that because we just have a different name for our constitution, if you like. But you know, as Keith said, Whitehall, they tend to do things their own way. They always have done. So I doubt if we're going to start having a cabinet or anything like that. But we don't know, and it's just down to the principle of keeping to the document as absolute minimum change from that East Hants is doing. And once you tinker here and tinker there and tinker somewhere else, it's very easy to actually change the meaning without realizing you're doing it.
The lawyer way to change a document like this is to say, we take this document and we will accept it as it stands, and then do an appendix and say we have the following derogations. So where the document says constitution, for our purposes, it means standing order. Where the document says chief executive, we mean chair of the council, etc., etc., etc. So you're not changing the body of this document at all, but listing derogations to it.
Yeah, okay. I accept that as a good compromise. That we just do it at the end. The chief executive is the clerk.
Yeah.
In this case.
Okay, so we're going to have an appendix where we say cabinet of the council is, if applicable.
Yeah.
So you'd like this at the end?
Yeah, I think that's what we're now saying.
Okay.
Just makes it more complicated if you've got an appendix.
Well, I'm not sure it does actually. I think what we're trying to do is to get something that is the same as East Hants. And at least if you put a little footnote at the end, anybody needing to read this document and use it can quickly look at the end and say, oh, yeah, they don't have a cabinet. They don't have a constitution. They have standing orders. So it's very clear where the difference is, rather than having words changed here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm content with that.
Okay, so we want an appendix then, Lizzie. And the first thing on the appendix will be cabinet of the council if applicable. Do you want to keep in then council's constitution and put standing orders as on the appendix?
I guess if we're being consistent, we probably should, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Lizzie, can you go back and change, you've changed constitution to standing orders. So we now need to put constitution back in where there is standing orders.
Yeah.
And then we need in the appendix a note to say that council's constitution is List Parish Council's standing orders.
Yeah. And perhaps by cabinet of the council, Lizzie, just put maybe a hyphen, and this parish council does not currently operate a cabinet model. Yeah,
I think that's a good point. In fact, you could put a sentence before at the beginning of this appendix saying at the time of the adoption
That's a good point. Yeah.
of this document, one, the Cabinet of the Council doesn't exist. Two, the Constitution of the Council is its standing orders, something like that. One, two, and there may be others as well.
The Cabinet of the Council would be, no, actually, the Constitution would be one, wouldn't it? Because that's the first thing
so that occurs first. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Sorry, Lizzie, we're making this hard work for you.
Don't you worry, this is fine.
I think you probably prefer to do it as we go along than afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely. Okay.
And of course, that means that if East Hants decide to change this document for any reason, it makes it much easier, I think, for us to adopt the new one.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that.
Okay. Is everybody all right so far?
Mm-hmm.
So if we go to the next page, which starts at 3, involved in the administration.
Okay.
So we finished. I think we finished that page, haven't we? If
Yeah.
we're taking everything now.
The only thing I think we don't again put there as chief executive is clerk, haven't we?
Yeah.
So where are we looking there, Keith?
At the top of that page, it says chief executive and monitoring officer. In our case, chief executive is the clerk.
Any close personal relationship.
Need...
actually, I think in this context, I'm not sure whether it does mean the clerk. I think it might mean the chief executive of the district, well, the monitoring officer of the district council.
The monitoring officer in the district council, yeah.
I don't
think the chief executive would be advised of a close personal relationship in the district council. I think it would be the clerk.
Yes. But we're talking about here the function of applying this document in a particular situation. And that would be the monitoring officer would do that.
That would be the monitoring officer, yeah. But I don't think chief exec would get involved in district council, Howard.
No, I tend to agree, but I don't think the clerk would get involved. It bypasses the clerk.
Not so sure. Not so sure. The reason I'm saying not so sure is because if the clerk was aware of a close personal relationship and didn't declare that, and later you had a problem, I think the clerk could be found to be negligent.
Yes, you're probably right.
So we're leaving that, are we?
Yeah.
Okay, we need one of the changes to the document that you've got with the one that was agreed by the legal advisors is 3E.
Oh, okay.
Where's 3E?
We haven't got 3E at the moment, have we?
You must 3E. You've got that at the top of the page 2.
All right. Okay, that's E. Okay.
Oh, it's not on there. Oh, it's not on this one. That's strange. So the document that people have been given, 3E says you must comply with any reasonable request made in any investigation of a complaint. That has now been removed from the East Hampshire document by their legal advisors, I would imagine.
We know that for fact, do we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What happened, Howard, was that the code of conduct was approved by council, and it was then decided to send it to Bevan Britton, whose solicitors who specialise in this area, for a sanity check.
Mm.
And
Okay.
Bevan Britton said there were a number of things, a small number of things that Bevan Britton said shouldn't be in your code of conduct. They should be in a separate document.
Okay. Well, if East Stants have changed it, I'm not sure I agree with the change, but the principle, if East Stants have changed it, we've changed ours as well. So if they've deleted that, we delete it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which one is it? Sorry,
It's already not in the one you've got there, Lizzie. So I
was going to say.
think it's already gone.
Yeah, it's just the ones that were printed off and handed out to people that you've got, that people now have in front of them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So we don't. It's already done. Okay.
On yours. Okay. So, and everything else on that page is, we accept it as it is.
Yeah.
So the next page, which starts at to ensure that such resources, I think it's the previous page, is it? 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, ensure that such resources, yeah.
Yeah.
8.1A talks about the council's chief finance officer.
Yeah.
Is that's okay to leave it in, is it?
Well, I said again. I think in the appendix, I maybe would put the chief finance officer for us is our responsible finance officer.
Yeah. Okay then. So in the appendix, Lizzie, we need to note the council's chief finance officer is for Liss Parish Council the
Responsible finance officer.
yeah.
Yeah.
And put RFO in brackets after it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Is the one above it number 3 correct? Chief executive.
That's right. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so I think everything else on that page is acceptable as it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm on the next page that starts.
I just something I've spotted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and under register of interests.
Where is this?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
it says
okay,
a copy of the register will be available for public inspection and be published on the council's website. Well, it's actually on East Hampstead's website, isn't it?
we're on the next page. For those of you who's got the document in front of you, we're on the next page that starts at F.
Yeah, okay. Is it not on are they not on our website?
I don't think so. I think it's just a link through to East Hants.
Well, yeah, but how we technically do that, I think is
I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you could argue you can find it on the council's website. Yeah, okay.
and I mean, it doesn't. We don't know. It could, in the long run, somebody could decide to change the technology behind it and actually keep our own copy.
Yeah, okay.
But if you click on Keith Budden, it will disclose all your personal financial interests in things that you've declared.
Okay. I'm content with that.
So we're leaving that as it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to go down to what is the last sentence on the page, which says, in addition, the council procedure rules. That's it.
Got it.
It's the second one, Lizzie, yeah?
Yeah.
What would that be for Liz?
That'd be our standing orders again, wouldn't it?
Right, okay.
That is in our standing orders.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to
Again,
put,
maybe in the appendix, we just say council procedure rules.
yeah,
List Parish Council standing orders. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
What are you sat around? Well, it's come off my table. Why is it sitting
Okay, so that's that page. So we're on to the next page, which for us starts at B, where a cabinet member may discharge a function alone. It's just before dispensations.
Must be further
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, right at the top, right at the top.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Where? Yeah. Okay. So
Well, to some extent, that is the case in our situation. The chairman of the committee can sometimes discharge a function without going back to the committee.
well, I think that's for debate, Howard. Whether the chair could do that.
Well, for instance, technically, the chair is the one who produces the agenda.
Hmm.
And so it could be that somebody with an interest actually says, oh, we will leave that out of the agenda, so I don't want that discussed because it might affect my personal interest or something like that.
So there, could we say cabinet member equals committee chairman
Um,
or equals council chairman?
well, we could do it as more generally and say just trying to think the words, something like in the absence of a cabinet system, it would be any councillor authorised to discharge a function alone.
Yeah, that's okay.
Would you mind saying that again?
Cabinet member is any councillor authorised to, what was your wording, Howard?
Authorised to discharge a function alone.
Alone, yeah.
Yeah.
Could we put in cabinet member is any List Parish councillor?
Yes.
Yeah. Any. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And that brings it over to not so much what the position's called, but what the authorisation is.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose another example there, Howard. I mean, you and I think, have both been in the position of when you're chair of a building, sometimes you have to make a decision to do something because the need is urgent.
Well, that's right. And as chair of buildings, I'm sure it happened to you as well as me. Sometimes I was called in and asked to give direct instructions to the workmen as to what needed doing.
Yeah, yeah.
When Dick decided it wasn't his function to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And you've got somebody like Andy Smith who's doing the social media. That's something he's authorised to do alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the bottom of the page that we're on in our handout here, there's something different to that was changed by East Hampshire Council's lawyers, I would imagine it, and it may already have been taken out of the document you've got. It was number C, details of any gift or hospitality with an estimated value of at least £50.
That's in disclosures, isn't it? Yeah.
8C, I think that was.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah.
These are, yeah. In ours, it's got or from a single source where the total exceeds £100, and that was taken out, and it's already out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, those of us on the working party were told we'd made it too complicated, so that's why I got put back to that.
But we don't need to make a note of that because we're accepting exactly the same thing, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's just that it's in the document you've got, but it's already been taken out of the one that Liz is working on.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're now on the following page, 9, disclosures of other interests.
The only thing I've noticed is the numbering, because it's gone from 9 to 11 somehow.
What's happened?
Like 2.
Is when you get down to number 11, I think that should be
Oh, right.
on from the line above. Can you see where you have an interest on number 4? It says where you have an interest by virtue of paragraph 11. That number 11 should follow on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it shouldn't be bold. It should just be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
The only query I had here was whether there was a typing error under number 11, sensitive interests, where you consider the disclosure of the details of an other interest.
Sorry, I'm losing where you are.
We're on number 11, sensitive interests, and the first line, I thought that there was a typo.
I think you're right. I think the space shouldn't be there. Yeah, it should just be another rather than an other.
That's all I had on there. And then the last page for us, which starts at number 12. Yeah. Are we just accepting that as it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose it doesn't need an explanation note, but I'm just looking at that where it says housing where you're a tenant of your council. I guess in our case, actually, that's probably more likely to be allotments where you are an allotment holder, but unless you are a tenant of the council. So,
yep, you're right. It covers it.
So would we have to put something in the appendix to say this covers allotment, Liss Parish Council allotment holders?
This covers allotments, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something like that.
Have you got that?
Sorry, this is my reminding me of something I've got to do at 12 o'clock, giving me an hour's notice. It's right. Apologies for the interruption.
Okay.
Okay. Have we done that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, very often with these things, there can be exceptions agreed with the monitoring officer. I mean, when I was a councillor in London, probably the majority of the councillors lived in council property, but they were allowed to take part in discussions on rents and things like that, because otherwise you'd have had too many of the council excluded from the conversations. And the monitoring officer can actually make an exception on those cases, and I believe that's still the case.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
So Lizzie, where you've got to now on the screen, arrangements for dealing with allegations, could you put that on a separate page so that next time we'll have that on the agenda?
Yeah.
And we'll send that round.
Or do you want it separate?
I think it should be, when we talked about numbering the page, I think it's good practice to say page 1 of 10, page 2 of 10, page 3 of 10, or whatever. And the last page will be page numbered in line with the rest of the document. So it's, you can call it appendix if you like.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. But I think it's essential that it's within the numbering.
Okay.
So it's not a separate document, it's part of this document.
Yeah, it is, but for practical purposes of distributing it for our next meeting so that we can look at it, that's what I was thinking about, so that we don't have a document.
Does it?
We're not
The rest of the
paper.
document?
Sorry, Lizzie, what?
Oh, you mean we're just going to have that one page circulated?
Well, it's more than one page, but yeah.
When it goes to basically page 14, does it?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I will copy at the moment. I'm going to copy and paste it into a separate document.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll have it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the allegations, Howard, which came out after we had distributed this code of conduct for today.
This is a change East Hants made.
Yeah.
This came about because at East Hants, I think I might discuss this with you offline, Howard. We've just had a governance review.
Yeah.
And one of the outcomes of the governance review was this procedure for dealing with allegations.
Okay, right.
Okay, so we finished that. We've now finished the first part of the code of conduct for councillors. So it would be good if you could send it to us, Lizzie. Just we can have another look.
Yeah.
What would you like me to call it? Dealing with
Just for dealing with allegations, I think.
Yeah. But the first part that we've just done, if you could send it to us. Now, should it go to the next council is next week, isn't it? Full council. I'm just wondering whether it should go to full council next week, or whether we should wait until we've done the allegation bit and it goes all together.
I think I'd be minded to say wait till we've done the allegations bit and do it all together, since it will be one document essentially. Otherwise, I think it's just going to cause confusion of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Everyone agree?
I support Keith's words on that.
Okay.
Can I just ask, the only thing that I've still got in red is the term the Nolan principles. Am I removing that?
I think so. Again, maybe we could put that in the appendix, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Put it in the appendix, and it can be just something like what were the words on the begin? This code of conduct.
Also known as the Nolan principles. I think that's what we need to put, really.
No, it's not. Also, our code of conduct is not.
No. This is just the 7 principles, Howard.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. We just. Yeah. I think we just put the 7 principles on page 1, or whatever page it is, page 3, are sometimes referred to as the Nolan principles.
Yeah.
or are also known as the Enola Principle.
Also known as, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just leave it.
Well, if they definitely are word for word.
Oh,
They are, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we finished that.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well done, Lizzie.
So I'm going to leave the adopted date for the moment.
Yeah, because it will probably come to you whenever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever our next meeting, yeah, whenever.
Yeah.
And we also need something in how often it gets reviewed, don't we?
Yeah.
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 I guess with code of conduct, I have to look what she said. What that lady from Hulk said. I think she said that every 2 to 3 years, unless it's there's a change in legislation.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Do you know how often East Hampshire District Council review it?
We're aiming to review it every 2 years.
Right, because we'll have to follow
Yeah.
that lead, won't we? We'll need to follow that lead. Yeah.
I think we could put in there.
To review it.
This should be reviewed whenever the district council reviews it themselves.
Yeah. So we could put to be reviewed in line with.
Yeah, in line with is a good. Yeah.
In line with East Hampshire District Council.
Yeah.
Reviews. Yeah.
Reviews. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, agree with that.
Okay. Is everybody happy with what we've done?
Uh-huh.
Good. Lovely.
Yeah, I'll get the champagne out later.
Okay. So we move on to the business. These two next documents really shouldn't take very long because the business continuity plan is only a year old and the social media policy isn't that old either. So my stuff. So if we turn to the business continuity plan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, just to say that I sent these policies out to non-committee members, informing them that we were looking at them today and to let us know if they had any comments to make. And I haven't received anything, so.
Sounds usual.
Yeah. So everybody will have looked at the business continuity plan.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was missing, again, is it would be helpful to have page numbers on here.
Yeah, I think we should adopt that for all documents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it must be page number 1, 2, 3, 4. Page number 5, the second one down. It's got damage to LPC allotments. And right in the last box.
Hang on, I'm still looking for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The one where the last box is local disaster. Is that where we're looking?
Yeah. But 2 up, it says damage to LPC allotments.
Oh yeah, right.
And in the box right at the end, it's blank on my document anyway. And it should actually have the very same things in the last box as everything else has on that page.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
I think it was just missed out.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had was I wondered whether the contact number, the emergency contact numbers on the very last page, which says as at the 7th of October 2019, whether they are still correct.
Hang on, I haven't even found that.
The
that
very last.
number. Are we, what, the last page, are we talking about, the last page is business continuity plan, emergency contacts. That's the one we're looking at.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I just wondered whether any of those.
I suppose we ought to check, yeah. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, we ought to check that those numbers are still current.
Lizzie, would you be able to check that?
I can do, yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we probably need to update the date on that page as well. As at, it says here, as at the 7th of October 2019. So I suppose we need to have maybe today's date on it.
Yeah.
Did anybody have anything on any of the pages that they wanted to raise?
No.
It all looked fine to me.
I'm happy.
Maggie?
No, I'm happy with all of it.
Yeah. Claire?
No, I'm good with that.
Are you? Yeah. I suppose the only thing for me is to know that it's actually being followed. So maybe I'll raise that with Sarah and the RFO.
This is just a formatting thing, but where you've got a table which goes over several pages, I really feel the header should be out on the top of each page.
Good idea. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yes.
But I'll do that.
Otherwise, you have to keep looking back.
Yeah, I find it poor.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good idea.
So apart from the amendment, so Liz is going to check the emergency contacts. I'll email Sarah and the RFO about whether, you know, it is being followed. It should be. It says here, review of plan. I'm on the penultimate page. The business continuity plan will be reviewed on an annual basis by full council and a copy given to all parishioners. So it needs to go to the next full council.
Yeah.
And we need to change the date that it's adopted, which will be today's date.
Yeah.
No, actually, it should be the date that the council adopted.
Ah, yes. But you remember the last meeting we had when we actually put that date on, and Sarah said it's the date of the review committee.
Yeah. I do remember that. Because I think we're authorised in the standing orders to adopt on behalf of the council, aren't we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right, yes.
And I suppose putting it in front of full council at the next meeting will be their review of it.
Yeah.
And that'll be noted in the minutes, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah. The council essentially will just have to note it, but yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say, it would make sense just for ease. This is a list, and it would be just to have some kind of bullet point
Yeah.
Yeah,
would
Yeah, I
normally
think that's a
be
good idea. Makes it a bit more readable.
legible.
mm.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're done on that one, aren't we?
Yeah. Let's just wait for Lizzie to
Yeah.
catch up with them. Yeah. So we agree that the business continuity plan, with Lizzie checking the numbers and me liaising with Sarah and the RFO.
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, we need to update today's date, which is the 9th December 2020. Okay. You all right with that?
Yeah. Just fiddling.
We're ready to go on to the final one, which is the social media policy. Again, this was adopted by the Parish Council on the 9th of October 2017. So it's 3 years old, so it's still fairly new, fairly up to date.
Yeah.
I only had one query, which was on the last page, and again, could we number them, please?
In progress.
On number 6, PERDA, do we get rid of European councils now that we are leaving, or we've left the EU? We won't have European elections, will we?
We won't. No, that's true.
Well, the way things are going at the moment, we might need to decide to join again to sort out all the problems.
No deal's better than a bad deal. Allegedly. Yeah, I think you're right, Leanne. I think that can come out because you say we won't be having a European election.
Okay, so it's just going to be local and general.
Yeah.
Actually, it should really be local, parliamentary.
Yes, that's true.
Because
Okay.
if you have a by-election, if Damien Hines decides to resign, and we have a by-election, it's not a local one, it's a national.
No, the only other one that just occurs to me, and it's only because it's coming up in May next year, is Police and Crime Commissioner.
Oh, right, yes.
That could count as local.
Local.
Yeah, probably could, couldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the real problem with that is that you don't necessarily have 6 weeks' notice. If it's a by-election, I think it's about three weeks, something like that. Notice, you give notice of the election. Well, the election needs to be called, and it needs to be take place within a certain time of it being called. And that's called by members of the public. So you might not have 6 weeks, but I've been thinking of a way of rewording that, and I think it's probably not worth bothering.
No, I think I'd agree, Howard. I think let sleeping dogs lie on that one, because it's going to be almost impossible to chart with a form of words which covers everything. Yeah.
So we've just got in the 6 week run up to the election, local
or parliamentary, it should say.
Local or parliamentary, yeah.
And then take out the word general. And I don't think that or second or should be there. I think it just needs to say councils have to be very careful.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so is everybody happy with everything else?
I have a point on that.
Okay.
Clause 3.2.3.4 on the first page is just the end of the sentence for clause 3.2.3.3.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Well spotted.
Sorry, say that again. What am I looking at?
Clause 3.2.3.4 was actually just the end of the sentence for clause 3.2.3.3.
Yeah, it had a number it didn't need.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. So got that, Lizzie?
Yeah.
3.2.3.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay then. That doesn't change the numbering of the next anymore, does it? No, because that's the end of the. Yeah. Okay. So are we all agreed on that revised policy?
Yeah, I'm just having a look at that 6.1 again. What happens if the council, say, organises a hustings for all the candidates?
Well, if it was for all the candidates, that'd be fine, wouldn't it? Because you wouldn't be seen as supporting any political party or candidate.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. What happens if one candidate wants to use the village hall at a parliamentary election?
Well, that's fine. This isn't about that, is it? This is just about our social media policy.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
Actually,
this is just saying that out on Twitter, we wouldn't vote for Howard Lindsley or vote for Keith Budden or vote for Leanne MacDonald. Because we can't. Yeah,
that's right. But we could put out the candidates are.
Oh yeah, because then but I mean that's what that's saying. It's saying that you won't be biased or be seen to be biased towards any party or candidate.
Lizzie, on the 6.1 that we're on, right at the end of the line, PERDA, this period is known as PERDA. Should that PERDA be in inverted commas? This period is known as PERDA.
Yeah, there's no harm in that.
Oh, lovely. Great. So is that everybody happy with that?
Everybody's happy?
Yeah.
Good. So that's going to go to full council. Did we change the date? Oh, lovely, yeah. 20. And when are we? 23, that's right, lovely. Great, so we've done that. We've done that, and it's only 25 past 11.
Oh.
If we're doing better on Zoom than we do when we meet in person.
Changing it as we go is actually a really streamlined process.
Yeah, it's a lot better, because otherwise you end up in this endless circle, don't you? Going around and saying that's not what happened, and yeah.
Will you be able to do that when we meet in person, Lizzie?
But we can actually, yeah, we can actually do this when we carry on, because we do have screens, and I can just take my laptop and tap away when we go back to meeting face to face.
It's much better, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is working. Oh, sorry.
So, any other business? Keith?
No, nothing from me.
Maggie?
Nothing from me.
Claire?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Howard?
No, I haven't anything, thank you.
Okay. Lizzie? Hello?
I think she's on the phone.
Hey,
All right.
Have a schedule of meetings for next year, and I'm just trying to bring it up to let you know.
I've got the next one. I've actually written them down, Lizzie, here. 3rd of February was the next one.
3rd of February.
Let's put that in my diary.
I don't have any. I don't have any other business. The date of the next meeting was suggested as the 3rd of February, which is a Wednesday, 10 till 12.
Sounds good to me.
Sarah and I have printed, and we are laminating a copy of the calendar of meetings for all the councillors. So you will, yeah, no excuses.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about. I have an objection to daytime meetings when they're not really necessary. I mean, at the moment we got funny situations and that's it. But the point is, if a committee meets in 10 o'clock, to take today's thing, if somebody's in full-time employment, they might not be able to attend. And I think evenings ought to be in the evenings as a general principle.
We have had this discussion before, Howard, and it was decided that as the review committee has never once had a member of the public even show a remote bit of interest in either giving a deputation or attending, that a lunchtime meeting was acceptable. But
no, I'm not arguing about the public. I'm arguing about the councillors.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Andy Smith, who I believe is in full-time employment for Sussex County Council or West Sussex, wouldn't be able to attend a daytime meeting.
But he's never attended any meeting, even when we had him in the evenings.
No. I'm trying to think long term. Is he the only member of the council? He's not the only member of the council who's in employment, and it depends.
Howard, I'm in full-time employment, and I just juggle my working hours to fit in around here.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, but you can do that. I've been self-employed for a number of years. It hardly counts what I do now. So I've been able to juggle things, but some people can't.
But it's about whether they would attend anyway, isn't it, Howard? Claire, you work full time, don't you?
Mostly full time. Yeah, you just juggle things around.
Are you okay about the?
Yeah, but you can't. You're missing the point. Some people can juggle things, others can't. If you were say a school teacher, you couldn't say, "Oh, I need time off that day. Somebody else will have to teach my classes."
I think I can see where you're coming from, Howard, but I think you're talking about a theoretical position we don't currently have. If when we come to the new committees being formed in May, we have a councillor who's in full-time employment who wants to be a member of the review committee, then fair enough. I think we need to consider moving it to the evening. But at the moment, considering that we can all make a daytime meeting,
Yeah,
as Lizzie quite correctly says, we've had zero interest from the public in what we're doing in this committee. Then I mean, I will just double check now, and there is no one watching on YouTube. So, you know, we are effectively it's an internal business meeting of the council, and if the current constituents of the committee are happy meeting in the daytime, I really don't see an issue with it.
And as Keith has said, we did actually discuss this before we actually moved to the daytime meeting, and we did say that, you know, if there was a member of the council who worked full time, couldn't make it during the day, then we would look to move the time of the meeting to the evening. But it was also
no, it's a more general thing, and you know, we've got a vacancy on the council at the moment, and suppose somebody comes along and says, well, I'd like to be on the council, but I work and I can't be flexible on that, and just take time off when I feel like it. And it might put them off being on the council if they see that some of the meetings are in the daytime.
Well, I think it depends what meetings they would want to attend, if they wanted to be on this committee or not. We would have to.
No. They probably have no idea at the moment. They might just ask the general question: when are the meetings?
Yeah, but I think, to be fair, Howard, we have always said when we've interviewed councillors for option, which, let's face it, is 99 times out of 100 how we've had councillors. We've always said the majority of meetings are in the evening, but we do occasionally have meetings in the daytime. And that's just a fact of life. You know, I hear what you're saying, but I think for most of us, it's more convenient to have it in the daytime, or we have no issue with having it in the daytime. To coin a phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And we always said we keep it under review.
Well, actually, it's a point of principle, and actually, it has been over the last few years. Gradually, we've moved, I think, to having more daytime meetings. There are exceptions when the pavilion, which required a lot of meetings, and I recognise that's an exception. And so I think we are changing it. And on your, if it ain't broke, don't change it. I just feel it might put somebody off from applying to be a councillor. They will ask the question.
Well, I think they'll ask the question and they'll be given the answer, which is that most of the meetings take place in the evenings. There's some meetings during the day, but we would look to be flexible.
Yeah, I think the answer should be it is sometimes necessary to have meetings during the day. Anyway, that's what I feel. I just feel that we should try to be as inclusive as possible. And I think somebody wanting to apply, they might just look on the website and say, oh, we have some meetings in the day and some in the evening. No, well, I might not be able to get to it, so I won't bother to apply. So we're excluding people.
I think a lot. We can go around in circles, but I think a lot of people actually, and I include myself in this, I had no idea about the workings of how complicated the workings of the council were and all the committee meetings that they had until I actually joined.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I never even thought about committees. I actually thought about being a councillor and, you know, and helping the people of Liss. That was I found out about the committees afterwards. It's probably a bit naive.
Well, I suspect a lot of people do that, but I know when I joined, I definitely looked at it because I was reasonably I mean, the way my employment goes, I work for myself, and if in most cases, if I can't make 10 o'clock, I can't make 8 o'clock in the evening either, because I'm away from home. Okay, well, I'm obviously not persuading people, but I just feel it's a point of principle that we should not have meetings in the day unless it's unavoidable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have discussed it, and we agreed that this was
Okay,
one of
I'm sorry, I'm backing off.
two committee meetings that, you know, could be held during the day. I haven't changed my mind, but
Okay, I'm backing off.
something that we can continue to revisit. But I think at the moment that the daytime works well for me. But you know, I'm open, and you know, it's something that will, as I said, we can continue to visit. And well, as we get new councillors who come on board, you know, we can ascertain their views. Okay.
Yeah, the council always tends to be top heavy with people who are not working, people who are retired. Although it used to be even worse than that. But anyway, I've backed off. So
Okay.
So we're saying 3rd of February, 10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 till 12. Yeah.
10 till 12.
Wednesday, the 3rd of Feb.
Review. Yeah.
And have a discussion with Lizzie as to what policies are due. But actually, we're fairly up to date now. I think I think the code of conduct was the most out of date one. It goes back to about 2012. So everything else is, I think, within the last 3 years. So we've done really, yeah. Thank you.
So are you saying that meeting might not take place?
Oh, it'll take place, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which policies we need to do, and because they've all now been reviewed within the last 3 years, I wouldn't expect, unless there's a change of legislation, I wouldn't expect to be spending hours sort of picking through them, really.
No.
if they're so up to date.
Yep.
Thank you all for all your work, particularly with this code of conduct. And
thank you.
I'll see you, if not before, I'll see you on the 3rd of February for our next committee meeting.